Hey everybody, it's BDF44 coming at you with a video. So I want to talk about Kobe Bryant. We are approaching a year on his passing, and I just want to reflect on where I was, what was going on in my life, kind of relive a little bit of that, share with you guys. So last year around this time, unfortunately, I had lost a niece. She lost her life after a long illness, and her funeral happened to fall on this day, which is the 25th of January last year. I was able to, obviously be with family and all of that during that process, and came back home, ready to go to work the next day. Went to work, and it was a foggy day, obviously, in LA. I was off the coast, not the coast, but it was like a harbor area where I worked at the time. And, you could see the fog. You could see the fog that they were trying to fly through. You literally saw it off the coast of the Pacific Ocean in Marina Del Rey. It was super foggy. It was super cold. I will never forget, in patrolling that day in the morning, I was driving my cart in a garage area and rode past. It looked like a little gate area where maintenance people work and where they keep their stuff. I don't know if an animal got caught up in there or what, but sure enough, something smelled like rancid meat, like as if, I smelled dead flesh is what I'm telling you guys. And it was so significant. It was such a strong smell. I was wondering if it was a human being, to be honest with you. I called it in, never actually found out what it was, but that's what came to, like, that's what happened. I was driving around and smelt death, and it just, to me, I didn't obviously think, oh my God, something's going to happen, but it just felt weird how that smell was so poignant. What could have possibly been that strong other than a live animal or human being or several human beings? It smelled like a lot of death. And that kind of set the tone basically for the shift. And I'm on the phone with my niece. During that day, it was a Sunday, so on that property, it wasn't a whole lot to do. So you sit in the office and kind of just wait for someone to call you and tell you to do something. So I'm sitting on the phone with my niece discussing how we want to communicate going forward with the family, since we had just lost our family member, and how we wanted to kind of get a little closer and just kind of talk to our elders and just kind of be a little more available, those type of conversations. And I received not a phone call, but two texts from two different people at the exact same time. They were not graceful. It wasn't like they were letting me down softly or nothing like that. These were people just reacting to the news that they were getting and then shot me the news to see if I had heard it. And I immediately told my niece what I had received. She didn't believe it. She then started receiving texts as well. Got everything confirmed. And of course, you're in a daze. Like, for myself, I grew up a Laker fan. You guys know this. I started watching in '94, the year before Shaq and Kobe got here. So I watched his entire career, saw the ups and downs from afar, of course, and been in his vicinity watching games. And he came to the ESPN Zone once with Spike Lee, and that whole thing, I was able to experience that and seeing him there. And 20 years of watching somebody do what it is that they do, pours all into it, do it at an excellent level. And you watch him have kids, you see the kids grow. I remember with Gigi, particularly with Gigi, it was so strange for me, because I remember looking at Gigi as she was, coming of age, and just thinking to myself, God, this kid has been a kid for a long time. Like, usually for myself, when you see kids, it's like, whoa, they grow up fast. Whoa, they grow up so fast. Gigi seemed like she was 5 for like 8 years. It's like, to me, it just seemed like she was a baby for a very long time. And I obviously she grew up to be a prolific young basketball player. And, you know, obviously my perception of her childhood being long, if it were indeed perceived that way by everyone else, I would like to think that meant that she had some extension of life, that she was able to experience more than what her years would provide. That's how I like to look at it. But, you know, I didn't, obviously we didn't get the news, just like you guys. I got the news about Kobe first, then we got the rumors about who may have been on the in the crash with him. We heard names about people that weren't there. They said the whole family was there. And then they finally confirmed later on what had actually taken place. And for me, with Gigi passing, it made it worse, to be honest. Because I looked at it from a perspective of a man. Like, if I'm a man and I've accomplished as much as Kobe Bryant, I've done it all, I've made it all, I've earned it all. I'm at the pinnacle of happiness at this stage in my life. I could walk away from the earth happy. And I'm not speaking for anybody but myself, but if I had done all that Kobe had done in 42 years and God called my number, I think I'm all right with that. You know? But you can't find no peace in that moment when you know that your child hasn't had a chance to live. When you know that there's a bunch of kids on that flight that didn't get that same opportunity to accomplish their goals and whatnot. You know, that's what bothered me. It was like thinking about how cruel that whole experience was. And of course, for everybody involved. Certainly for the victims. But from a perspective I could grasp, Kobe. Cruel to Kobe to have to experience that, you know, with your child. You know, you want to protect your child. You want to get her out of that situation. You want to tell her everything's going to be okay. You want to be able to leave the earth and know that she's staying behind him to have her own thing going and to establish her own life. And there's no real peace with your exodus if you gotta go with your child, in my mind. That's just in my mind, and I hope that nobody takes what I'm saying as if I'm speaking to the dead or know how he felt. Obviously, I do not. But just for myself, it just made it hit different, so to speak, when you talk about trying to wrap your head around the fact that Gigi and other little girls were on that helicopter along with the grown-ups. You know, and I just think about how cruel that would be. You know, how that is to try to find peace. You know what I mean? How can you go into to an afterlife and it at peace in those circumstances? So for me, it was just very difficult to wrap my head around that part of it. And I walked around the property, you know, in a daze. As I told someone else, I remember getting in the car to go home, but I don't remember driving home. Just kind of ended up there. I remember getting the news. I remember absorbing the news. And I remember certain parts of my days to where I was in a cart driving around the property. But my head was so far removed from reality that I honestly can't tell you what some of that day was about for me in terms of particulars after the news came. I was just in a daze. I was just not really able to really think of anything at all other than what the news was, and still trying to grasp what I just dealt with over the past week and a half, 2 weeks with my niece. And here I am calling myself going back to work, closing the door on that chapter, feeding off of the energy of my family, for which was very warm, very together. So I'm on a somewhat of a natural high off of that. And then to turn around and lose the hero, you know, the champion, and his kid, and everyone else on that flight. It was just very, 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 very difficult to deal with. And then over the next several weeks and days, obviously everything poured in from one celebration of life to different things that people were doing for him. So it was no way to really escape. And you didn't want to at the time. You just kind of wanted to celebrate as well. So I got a whole lot of respect for the image of Kobe Bryant. I didn't know the man, but as far as appreciating somebody from afar and wanting the best for them, I certainly did. And that was a very difficult celebrity loss for everybody, and for myself included. I just wish even now that we would respect the family's wishes in this 1 year anniversary. Vanessa has made it ever so clear that she would like no pictures of the site, the crash site, to be exposed at this time. She's went through a great deal of work trying to make sure that his legacy and his dignity is upheld, getting rid of those, making sure that she put them lawsuits on them cops that trying to pick up girls by exposing pictures of the site and pictures of the bodies. That kind of stuff, I can assure you that you will get no respect here if that's what you're on. I have nothing good to say about people who do stuff like that. Respect the dead, respect the families, respect Kobe, respect Gigi, respect those people, man. Don't let them pictures ever see the light of day. I know that they're out there somewhere. I hope they never get seen. I hope they're deleted completely. That's one thing. And just moving on, man. Like right now, this is so incredibly difficult because now I'm dealing with another situation with my family that's identical to last time. My niece is fighting for her life right now. Another niece of mine. And of course, if you put two together, you can see it's exactly a year later. From dealing with all of that in the family, and then to have to go through it again, and then to go through the Kobe anniversary thing, it's just very taxing on the spirit. I can tell you this has not been the easiest day, to say the least. I didn't start off by telling you guys that I've been forced to revisit what happened last year because history is repeating itself. I didn't want to start the video that way, but that's what's going on. And so for me, this anniversary of Kobe's passing is especially difficult because I'm going through the same thing once again with a different niece at the exact same time. She's still with us, and that is the best thing ever. You'll take your good news as you can get it, and we're looking forward to encouraging news about my niece. But it just goes to show you that, first of all, family is important. If we're going to talk about anything that we can all relate to, whether you're a Kobe fan, whether you give a crap about what I'm talking about, family is important. And if you have family, cherish them, spend time with them, do all that stuff that people say that you already know you should do. Take it there. Go take off work if you got to go celebrate your mom's birthday or something like that. All that stuff really, really, really comes back around to being something you appreciate when things transpire, such as this. I think about what Vanessa and the girls are going through right now, having to relive all of this. I'm thinking about what my brothers are dealing with, having to go through this year and also go through this last year at the same time. It's just family. You just can't put a price on those moments that you spend with the people that you care about and those conversations. I'm thinking about the last time I spoke with the niece that is dealing with what she's dealing with at this time. We didn't think nothing of one another in terms of saying goodbye or if this would be the last time we ever saw one another. Last time I saw my niece, she was just coming in with some food, and I was on my way out of the door. This was actually last year at this time. We were coming to my brother's house, the one who, of course, whose daughter this is. We were going to his house for the funeral, more or less. Well, the reality of the story is I went down there in the wrong weekend. So instead of going all the way to San Bernardino and then turning all the way around, I went to my brother's house. And in that stop, I was able to see this niece who's going through this today for the last time. So you can see how fortuitous all of that actually panned out to be. I at least got a chance to be able to see her. But we didn't have like a heart-to-heart, like you know what I mean? I didn't even question whether or not that would be the last time I saw her. And there was nothing special about that interaction at all. And I really regret that. If I'd have known, obviously I'd have stuck around for dinner. I wouldn't have been out the door. Obviously, certain things we take for granted because we think we're going to see people again. And I just want to get on here and let you guys know that even though you've heard this a million times from a million different people, don't take minutes and moments for granted with people that you appreciate and love and care for, because there will come a day where you'll have to part ways with them, whether it be your passing or theirs or something else. But nothing lasts forever, and those moments matter a lot more than whatever it is that you're focused on in any given moment, to be honest with you. Your goals, whatever that stuff takes a back seat when somebody passes away or when something like this happens. So I just want to encourage everybody to put your family first, man. Do that and you will not regret it. So of course, back to Kobe. I mean, for me, now that we're doing this, we're going through this process, the Lakers have come out and said that they are not going to revisit a memorial or try to do something special for him this year. We kind of want to just heal and move on, and I totally understand that. The Laker organization and Kobe Bryant had a very special relationship. It wasn't just business. The people in that organization, they really cared about the man and his family. They knew him. They had relationships with him, just like they have relationships with a lot of the old players. The Lakers are a family. You know, that's not just some cliche slogan that they slap on stuff to get people to believe in something. No, trust me, as somebody who's been a fan for 20 years, who's lived in Los Angeles his whole life, the Laker organization really is they're run like a mom and pop company, and they hire from within, they promote from within, and they celebrate the culture of it all. And anybody that's a part of it, whether you have a big role as a star on the team or you're the last man on the bench, there will be opportunities for you to be a part of that Laker family, whether it be at some official capacity or just, you know, staying in touch with people. I've seen it enough to know that that's real, that those relationships are real between those people. And there's some people who are still suffering with this Kobe stuff. It's not 364 days, ain't a whole lot of time to really let it sink in for people that really love you and really think of you, talk to you every day and that kind of thing. So we have to respect the fact that there's trauma there, not just them respecting the family, but people like Jeannie and some of the people that work in the organization, they're dealing with this. Some of them are probably still getting through this, therapy-wise or what have you. So for those fans out there who are wondering why the Lakers aren't celebrating or are hurt by the fact the Lakers aren't celebrating or think the Lakers don't care, as somebody who's been close watching the organization his whole life, basically, I can assure you that everything that they're doing is not because they don't care, but it's because they do, and it's very difficult. So I just wanted to put that opinion out there, and I'm sure most Laker Nation will agree. This is not something that's light for us. This is not, some player passed away, let's make sure everybody sees us celebrating. No, people really actually hurting. And this was traumatic. The way that it happened, who all was on the flight, what happened after that with Corona made it so that people probably didn't process the way that they normally would. This hasn't been a normal 364 days, to say the least, in the world. So normal processes of getting therapy and being able to outlet and all that was probably derailed by just flat out dealing with COVID. And everything that it's taken from us as well since then. Lord knows we've lost people since then. So it's like, this is not a regular situation. This is not a regular death anniversary for a lot of people. And if the Lakers don't want to celebrate it or bring forth a light that revisits all of that, I certainly appreciate them not, to be honest with you, as a fan who's going through his own thing in regards to this time of year. It's okay to not. It's okay to not. Those of us who know, we know. At any rate, thank you guys for watching. It's a therapy session for me, and I encourage everybody to find a way to get whatever's in you out so that you can have some clarity about your life and peace of mind. And that's what I got. My name is BDF44. I'm out.